Hey, what's going on guys, this is AndrewChicken and welcome back to another video. Paladins is world renowned for its plethora of top tier waifus and their even more sus skins. There are so many waifus and husbandos to choose from in this game, but which one is the ultimate supreme waifu? Well, in this video, we're going to answer that question once and for all. Through a vast series of YouTube polls that each have thousands of votes, I've created a tournament where each waifu and husbando has to get through a quarterfinal, semifinal, and a final round to be declared the best waifu in Paladins, and you might be surprised to see who comes out on top. Before we get started, I want to remind you that if you've been enjoying my content recently, please drop down below and hit that big red sub button so you won't miss out on any future content. I'm trying to reach 60,000 subscribers on my main channel and 1,000 subscribers on my VODs channel as quickly as possible, and I would really appreciate your support. Also, comment down below who your favorite waifu and husbando is, and with that being said, let's get straight into the video. Alright, let's get started on our epic journey to see who the best waifu in Paladins is. I'm going to be going through each individual poll to show you how each of these matchups went. Before we begin, I want to clarify something that you might have already been wondering about. Do non-humans count? Well, no. I have not included any non-humans on these polls, with just a few exceptions. The largest exception is that I have included elves like Ying and Sky on these polls, since elves are just humans with pointy ears. I have also included Rei, even though she's a Lepori, since she's taking on a completely human form in all known documentation of her. Vaatu is also in this tournament, even though he's a Skadron, because Skadron are in a similar situation to elves. They're human enough. You can think of them like the Neanderthals of the Paladins universe in the context of interbreeding with humans. However, I didn't include Maldamba and Dredge because, well, I forgot. Let's be real here though, they weren't winning anyways. Lastly, I've included Inara and Terminus because both of them have human skins. Inara definitely has more of a shot of winning with some of her skins, but I included Terminus anyways to be fair to all Stagala and not give special treatment. Otherwise, characters like Grover, Yagroth, and Bomb King are not human enough to be included in this poll. Moji, Talus, and Willow have not been included either, and if you need me to tell you why, then you need to seek mental help. Anyways, with that out of the way, let's check out the first quarterfinal. I really front-loaded the first poll with some incredible waifus that offer a little something for everybody. Between the cute nerd, the dommy mommy, the all-around wholesome choice, and the fox girl, it turns out that the fox girl won by a country mile, with Ying coming in second place. Personally, I think Ying has a major leg up in this contest given that she can do this. But it turns out even that's not enough to overcome a goddess. Next, we have my favorite poll of the quarterfinals, and that's because I crammed it with my 3 favorite waifus and then added Sky for the people who have no taste. This poll was actually quite a major upset, as Sky was winning in the preliminary hours of the poll going out, but then Vora edged forward and actually ended up surpassing her by a surprising margin. I consider that a personal victory, but I'm sad to see Evie and Cassie getting so few votes. After that, we had one of the biggest curb stomps of the whole event. Ash, Betty, Furia, and Imani went head-to-head, and to no one's surprise, Furia won by a whopping 65%. Personally, I think Imani is extremely underrated, and I wish she would have taken more of the vote. But alas, Furia's thick thighs seemed too irresistible for the Paladins community. Maybe this is a sign that they should restore the thigh window in her default skin that they stole from us many years ago. This next poll has the least voted for character in the entire event. With just a paltry 7% of the vote, Octavia is officially the worst waifu in the tournament, who is just under a few 8%ers we'll get to later. Saris and Lilith both took a respectable quarter of the vote, but Maeve ran away with the show at a staggering 40%. Honestly, I've never understood the hype behind her because I don't think she looks good, she probably smells, and she's also French. But you do you, Paladins community. Sati gave Furia a run for her money with this next curb stomp. She was able to take a massive 62% of the vote against Inara, Kasumi, and Kinessa, but it's honestly no big surprise. What is surprising is that more people would do Kasumi over Octavia. Yuck. And finally, we have the only poll in the waifu tier list that has 3 champions, Leon, Tyra, and Vivian. Leon put Furia and Sati to shame by taking a solid 3/4 of the vote, with Tyra getting a respectable 17%. Like Amani, I think Tyra is pretty underrated, but I would also vote for Leon in this case, so I understand why she lost. Now, we get to move on to the quarterfinals for the Husbando bracket. Up first, we have another front-loaded poll, with Azan, Barrick, Fernando, and Androxus. In a major upset, Fernando took over half of the votes in what I expected to be a nearly three-way tie between Azan, Fernando, and Barrick. I'm not gay, but if I were, Azan would be my #1 choice for the best husbando, no questions asked. So for me, this poll was a bit disappointing. Next up is the battle of the femboys. I created a cruel dilemma for Kasvus enjoyers by forcing them to choose between Caspian and Corvus, as well as Lex and Genos on the side. Surprisingly, Corvus edged Caspian by 11%, but Caspian got a respectful 31% as well. Atlas, Buck, Koga, and Victor go head-to-head in the next poll, with Koga snagging nearly half the vote in a considerable landslide. Buck and Atlas held their own though, getting about 20% of the vote each. After that, we have what's in my opinion the most boring poll of the event. None of these husbandos are particularly top-notch, but between Sha, Strix, Seven, and Zin, it turns out most people want Zin to be their husbando. Weird, considering how abusive he is, and the fact that he's a literal tyrant. What's also noteworthy is that Strix is the least voted for husbando, and was almost the least voted for character in this event, getting just 1% more of the vote than Octavia. Last, we have a juicy poll to finish off the husbandos. Vatu, Terminus, Khan, and Torvald fought it out, and Khan was the clear winner with just under half the vote. Vatu had a commendable performance too, and I'm sure his mustache helped him out. Now, we get to move on to the semifinals. This is where things really start to get interesting, since all of these champions are excellent waifus in their own right with a lot of stuff going for them. Up first, we have Io, Vora, and Furia, which is quite the devious trio. Of these, Furia surprisingly came in last place, proving that you need more than just thick thighs to become an S-tier waifu. Vora placed slightly higher with 28% of the vote, but Io took nearly half of all the votes and moved on to the finals. Would I say I'm disappointed? Well, yeah, but I'm at least happy that one of my waifus made it to the semifinals. Meanwhile, the second semifinal was much closer. Maeve came in dead last with 19% of the vote, proving that not all hope is lost for humanity. Meanwhile, the winner was decided by a margin of just 4%. The winner of this poll, with 42% of the vote, was Sati, just narrowly coming away with a victory over the scion of House Aiko. This was also the most voted for poll of them all, with almost 10,000 votes compared to the average of about 4,500. Next up, we get to the semifinals of the Husbando bracket. Fernando, Corvus, and Koga went head-to-head, with the clear loser being Koga at just 19% of the vote. Corvus held his own, but in the end he just didn't have enough simps to outmatch the sexiest person here, Fernando. So the self-appointed knight moves on to the finals. The second semifinal only had 2 contestants, since there aren't as many eligible husbandos out there as there are waifus. Zin and Khan duked it out, and this was much closer than expected. Zin ended up losing, but he still managed to take 40% of the vote. Seriously, guys? Zin is a warlord and a monster. He's like the Genghis Khan of Paladins. This should not have been this close. Thankfully, Khan moves on to the finals, where we'll get to see 2 big muscular men duke it out in glowing suits of armor. But before we get to that, let's see once and for all who the best waifu is. It's down to the last 2 now, Io and Sati. The fox goddess versus the dark elf with a whole bakery. Who comes out on top? With over 5,600 votes, or 64% of the total, the best waifu in Paladins, as judged by the community, is Io. Honestly, this outcome isn't really that surprising. Not only does Io have the anime waifu aesthetic down to a T, with asset file sizes in the gigabytes, she also has a pretty wholesome personality that I think a lot of people find to be quite nice. She's got some stuff for the furries too, but she's not so over the top that regular people can't enjoy her. Plus, she's the magical embodiment of the frickin' moon! If she can seal away Yagharoth for eons, imagine what she can do on a date. That said, I would have personally voted for Sati when presented with these two options, because boy howdy do I love bread. Now, let's turn our attention towards the knights in shining armor, Fernando and Khan. These are our two contenders for the greatest husbando in all the realm, and the winner of this dazzling tournament is Fernando, coming in with a whopping 60% of the vote. This was slightly closer than the waifu tournament, and the surprising thing is that this entire poll got fewer votes than what Aya was able to pull in alone. I wonder what that says about the community. Anyways, this was a pretty hot tournament. It was like a normal tournament, but with Fernando in it. Needless to say, it's unsurprising that Fernando won the Husbando tournament, since he's the stereotypical sexy knight in shining armor. I mean, geez, he's biting a frickin' rose in his profile picture. He would treat anyone right on a date if given the chance. But with both finals out of the way, that's going to do it for the grand waifu and husbando tournament of 2023. Let me know in the comments who your favorite waifu and husbando is, and while you're down there, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future content from me. Also, check out my Twitch channel and my Discord server, which are both linked in the description. With that being said, thank you guys for watching. I will see you all next time. Peace out.